I'd like to call to order the Village of Haynesville Planning and Zoning Commission for public hearing for a proposed amendment to the Haynesville zoning ordinance modifying solar energy systems on November 19, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. Please stand and join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we do roll call, you're going to get the pleasure of seeing two whole meetings today. The first one is we're meeting as a zoning commission to talk about a change in a zoning law. Then we come out of that, and then we come to board. And it's the same group, but it's government. Roll call, please.
Mayor
Here.
Jerry Daly.
Yep.
Trustees George Duberstein.
Here.
Kreese.
Here.
Koval. Here. Dernoski.
Here.
Georgianne Duberstein. Here. And Chanel.
Here. Okay, we've got a quorum. Motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Trustees George Duberstein.
Aye.
Kreese.
Aye.
Koval. Aye. Dernoski.
Aye.
Georgianne Duberstein. Aye. And Chanel.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Madam Clerk, notice requirement review, please.
The notice was published in the Daily Herald on November 7th, and that is all the requirements we had to do. However, I do have to administer the oath to everybody. So if everybody wants to stand and raise your right hand. You can do this too if you plan on talking. Okay, so I do swear or affirm
I do swear or affirm
to testify truthfully
to testify truthfully
before the Planning and Zoning Commission
before the Planning and Zoning Commission
of the Village of Haynesville
of the Village of Haynesville
during the hearing for
during the hearing for
a proposed amendment
a proposed amendment
to the zoning
to
ordinance.
the zoning ordinance.
Thank you.
Okay. Village testimony is a brief explanation. What we're discussing tonight will be a resolution that if we support, will go to the board meeting later tonight, right after this meeting, for passage or rejection. What this amendment, what is before us, was brought to our attention by a resident that wanted to install solar panels on their house. And the company that set them up presented a plan, but it covered too much space on the roof in violation of our ordinance. So this is, of course, using Bob Springer and Lake County building permit. So we had to reject it. And in the conversation with Mr. Springer, he indicated that the code that Lake County abides by is the fire code, and it allows for more coverage. Our coverage allows for 50% of the roof with nothing facing the street. The proposal maintains the nothing facing the street, but allows for more coverage. It doesn't give a percentage, but the fire code requires certain passageways between X number of panels, so firemen can get from the roof line, the gutter line, up to the top, so they can, if they have to, they can open up the roof for ventilation. And it's what Lake County has been using for a few years, so this amendment is to bring us in alignment with that. So, questions, comments, other testimony concerning this?
Is this Lake County's ordinance essentially?
No, I left out a key word when I sent the explanation to you. What it is the National Fire Code that Lake County has adopted and we have adopted as a guide. It's just that our current ordinance, Jack, overrides it. Okay. Just any other testimony? Public comments or questions? Guess not. Closing comments of the board? Then I need a motion to approve the resolution for text amendment to solar energy systems.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Trustees George Duberstein.
Aye.
Kreis.
Aye.
Koval. Darrenowski.
Aye.
Georgianne Duberstein. And Schnellwith.
And I get to vote. Zoning Commission.
Oh, and it's not trustee, it's zoning commissioners. Commissioners.
Aye.
Okay, Davey. And then, so motion carried, resolution R-19-11-141.
Motion to adjourn the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
At 6:34. Call to order a regular board meeting for the Village of Haynesville, November 19th at 6:34 and a half. Roll call, please.
Trustees, Mayor Jerry Daly.
Am I getting demoted? I don't know, or something
No.
here?
Trustees George Duberstein.
Here.
Kreis.
Here.
Koval. Here. Darrenowski.
Here.
Georgianne Duberstein. Here. And Schnellwith.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Trustees George Duberstein.
Aye.
Kreis.
Aye.
Koval. Darrenowski.
Aye.
Georgianne Duberstein. Schnellwith.
Aye.
Motion carried.
A little insight for you. We may move through some things pretty rapidly tonight. That's because the board has received the packet in advance. They got it last Thursday. Read it. They can contact the village hall for questions. If we have an audience, the audience at some point will be allowed to make public comments. We're still allowed to talk about it if there are questions, but things will probably zip along pretty quickly. Which means you get home in time to watch something. All right. Let's see, we've got the approval agenda, public comments, none. Motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes approval of the October 22nd, 2019 regular board meeting minutes, the October 2019 financial statements, the November 19th, 2019 bills payable for $144,036.66.
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Trustees George Duberstein.
Aye.
Kreis.
Aye.
Koval. Darrenowski.
Aye.
Georgianne Duberstein. And Schnellwith.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Very good. Reports and discussion, finance.
All right, so most of my stuff is, a large portion of the stuff is down in the motion, so I will keep this short. Kelly Lewalski asked me to let you all know that the bills payable report for November, December will require a special bill run because of the timings of the meetings. So there will be an email sent out for consensus on bills this Friday. Please get back to Kelly as quickly as possible. The same will be for December because the meeting is so early. Again, it's on the 10th of December. So please make sure that you are looking out for that email. And then I will save the rest of my warm air for lower on the sheet.
Okay, and yeah, December 17th, I believe, is the board meeting agenda.
I'm sorry,
No,
yes, that
December.
is.
It's the 10th.
It's the 10th of December. So
Let's verify.
Yeah, it's the 10th
November
of
is the
December.
19th and December is the 10th.
Okay.
I thought I had that right.
Yeah, the 10th.
Okay.
We had it as the 17th, but somebody asked for it to be changed. A long time ago. So it is the 10th.
That's good to know since it's not nice.
It's nice when the mayor shows up.
Okay. With that, just as far as consensus goes, remember that we will still have the following meeting approve the bills. We'll take a vote on that. Alrighty then, thank you, John. Public Works, Wally.
Hey, great. Yeah, met with Mike Powell this afternoon. We discussed budget items and manpower needs for next year's projects to be done in the summer and with the summer help. so I'm just going to, that was short and quick. And now I'm going to read the report from Mike Powell, our Public Works Superintendent. Listed below are the items the Public Works Department is working on and/or completed over the last few weeks. Maintenance has been completed on all of our summer equipment and stored for the winter.
While we in the microphone.
I'm sorry. Our equipment has been moved to the Public Works, building and is ready for winter. The new stop sign on East Bighorn and Elmhurst is scheduled to be installed on Wednesday the 20th. We will place an electronic signboard provided to us by the police department notifying drivers of the new sign. We had 4 snow events of the year already with no issues except for the multiple, or I should say a couple of mailboxes that were knocked down by cars that were driving too fast for conditions. And we received a call from a resident on West Trail in Grays Lake with dead trees overhanging their property. We're scheduling removal for the first week of December, along with the dead trees in the rear of the State Farm building. And if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to contact Mike Powell, Public Works. Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Community events, George.
I think I may have mentioned last meeting, but
Microphone, please.
with the aggressive fundraising we did, we had a surplus as a result of this last event, Civil War event that we had. So we have a few $1,000s in the bank for next year. And as I think I may have mentioned, we have gotten approval not only from the mayor but also from the Norfolk Sports Club that we will have the next year's event on the 17th and 18th of October 2020. I've already, since the last meeting, sent out invitations to the military and civilian participants, as well as all of the presenters. And so far, with maybe one exception, everybody's approved coming back again, so we're in good shape there. And also got word from the Walmart Foundation that they received from the local store a positive recommendation for a grant request. It's not as much as we asked for, obviously, but we will be probably getting several $100 in addition to add to our coffers for next year. I will be sending out some more letters or emails this week to contact some of the food vendors and some of the other folks that need to participate. And that's all I have right now.
Have you gotten any information from Swelco, or have you had time to look into a shredding event? I know an email was dropped your way about possibly setting one up here.
Yeah, I don't have any feedback from them yet. I'll probably, maybe this week, get back with them.
Okay.
See what we can do.
Okay.
I do know that they're usually, if we get a vehicle from one of these companies to come in, usually is a fee for that. And in the past, the events that I've been to, usually one of our representatives through the state usually picks up the tab for that. I think it's in the order of maybe $400 or $500, but I'll nail it down.
Okay, very good. Thank you, sir. Great Age Club, Georgiana.
The Great Age Club is planning a holiday party on December 9th, and it'll be a luncheon at Jimmy's Chart House, followed by dessert at the Riverside.
And I talked to Georgiana earlier. I'm sorry, was there more?
No,
I assigned Georgiana to the Squaw Creek, something or the other, 2, 3, 4 months ago, and I went to the organizational meeting, and it was all hot and heavy about how we're going to improve it, and she has not, I have not heard a darn thing. So we'll keep you posted. Other, we have an ad hoc committee report. Mary?
Sure. Trustees Kreese, Duranowski, and myself held a public special water and sewer rate meeting on Saturday, November 16th at 11 a.m. We were the only three in attendance. Wally actually went out and researched the surrounding communities' current water and sewer rates. And the Village of Haynesville is about average cost per 1,000 gallons for their sewer fees. Some are a little higher, some are a little lower. Our current rate, we are suggesting that we do an increase as a possibility to look for that for additional funds, basically, for the outlay of the extra water things that we know are going to be happening, the lift stations, the new well, those kind of things. Right now, we have a total of about 1,310 households. That includes the townhomes that are sometimes 4, 5, or 6 in a unit. Of those townhomes, or of those total homes, we actually have about 61 of those that go over our 9,000 gallon per month that is of usage. After a lot of discussion that we had between us, we are suggesting that a 50-cent increase would be a minimal amount to help bring in a little extra money towards that next year possibly. As an example, if the current sewer rates for 8,000 gallons is $53.44 a month, it would increase it to $57.44 a month. So about $4 of difference in that as an average. We also discussed as another way to help alleviate some of the costs in sending out those water and sewer bills would be to encourage online billing. So as that encouragement would hopefully get people to do that, we would charge an additional dollar fee, kind of as a surcharge for processing for those monthly bills that get mailed out every month. These are just kind of ideas that we were throwing around out there that we think may be beneficial to us. It'll bring in a little extra money for those water and sewer projects that we know are coming up, and hopefully we'll be able to discuss those and bring those to decisions.
Okay. For clarification then, the group is recommending a 50-cent per 1,000 gallons of sewer use.
Right, not your water.
Not your water. Not water, just this for sewer use. And right now, our sewers, the village gets 50 cents per 1,000 gallons currently. So we'll take it up to $1. And the example of what it could take an average bill up is accurate, but remember, the village is split by Haynesville Road as far as sewer rates. So that number it's probably accurate for one side, but not the other. But it'd still be let me back up. Check this with Kelly, and currently we make about $37,000 a year off that 50-cent rate. So if it went up to $1 per 1,000, it would double, so it would be about $74,000. An increase of $37,000 from that account.
Everything that we looked at is our 8,000 minimum that we have to pay. Okay, and that's what we were looking at. So that's what we used as a basis. Okay, to get our figures. So like you said, I think most of our billing is under usually 4,000 gallons or whatever. So it would be about a $2 increase per month.
Let's kick it around a little bit if you have.
Do we know what type of households are doing the 9,000 gallons?
Say that again?
He asked, do we know what houses or what sort of houses are using 9,000?
Are these houses with 4 or 5 kids?
Oh, that I don't
We
know.
have-
We just have a listing of the
We just
houses.
have a listing of the houses.
We have the addresses.
Yeah.
In some cases, we found, because the system kicks out an unusual usage report, if someone jumps a great deal or drops a great deal in a month, we get that, and we'll follow up on some of the bigger ones. And it's, oh my God, my toilet's been running this whole time. It means it uses that much water. Or some of them have large family. Of course, our biggest users are our businesses, but residentially,
61
61
is the
over.
total count that I had over 9,000 gallons. And that's broken into 9, 10, 11, and 12 on the first page, and then it goes up all the way to Cranberry North Lake is 201. So
The only thing that concerns me is there's a chance, there's a chance that we're gonna raise rates on households, families that probably at least afford it. That's a concern.
Something to discuss.
Yeah. And we're not making a decision tonight.
This is for us to think about.
I have a couple of questions.
Microphone. Let's take one to your right.
There's one down here.
Have your normal.
Question number one, can I assume that these projects you were talking about, that may come up, will pay for out of the fund that we set up a couple of years ago?
To clarify, we have two reserve funds, one out of the general for capital reserve, and then we have the water reserve fund, both of which have a fair chunk of money in them. John and Mary, when they get all the requests, budget requests, will have to look at it and try to figure out where they're going to, how it's going to be funded. But yes.
All right, so my next question then is, the money we get right now, because of the increases we put in place a couple of years ago, not all of it goes into those capital reserve funds. Some of it gets into the general fund.
Some of it goes into what fund?
Does it not go into the general fund? We don't put all that
You
money
mean into the water fund?
The whole water fund is a general fund.
Oh, general fund. No, the money from the water rate increase that we did a few years ago all goes into the water fund reserve. However, that is not like MFT. It is not restricted, if that answers your.
Oh, I thought we actually made a distinction, and we only put so much money in the reserve, and the rest of it went into the general fund.
This year we put $158,000 in the reserve. We budgeted that amount. We budget, or is that what we put into the capital fund? I think that's what we budgeted, $158,000 going to the capital. All the increase in the water has been going to the water fund. Now, with that in mind, I've asked John and Mary this year, when they're working up the budget, and Kelly, to look for a continuous stream, pardon the pun, of money that we can put into the capital reserve fund to finance it. Because what we had done before was we budgeted an amount and then agreed that any unspent budget would go into that. Well, we haven't had unspent budget for a year or two.
All right, well, the extra money that will be generated by this increase, where will it go?
Initially, it'll go to the water fund, but can that be reassigned to something else? Yes.
That being the case, the rationale that we have, that we're using to make this increase is to take care of these water things, and if we put the money someplace else, we don't have it for the water.
Wallet?
What we looked at, okay, is bills that are going to be coming up in the very near future, okay? Well, one of
Did you
them
put
right
on
now
the
is,
thing, because I can't hear
Mike?
you.
one of the things we've got right now, which is going to happen probably next year, was that generator, okay, on the lift stations, okay? So now, with that, we did put it into the budget, but then also we found out that there's need upgrades for the lift motors and everything else, pumps in there. So now all of a sudden that adds to it. So we're looking at it, and that could be another expenditure of $50,000 or $60,000. I'm not sure yet. They haven't come back with that. Okay? But that's one of the projects that we're looking at. So this is what I looked at was we have that. We have the other lift station that will probably need to be upgraded, because if we're going to upgrade this one, we would want that one up. So bring our infrastructure up.
We have water projects to apply it to. And you're right, when we first developed this, the idea was long-range water. Then we ended up making more. I mean, right now we have projected $1.2 million in the account currently in the water. Water.
Less than 1.1.
1.1 million.
1.1, less than.
Okay. So 1.1 million in that account now. We have $1 million in CDs above and beyond that. So I've heard two different goals for that water fund. Keep it at roughly 1.5. And I've heard another one, let's get it up to 3. And nothing has been put in black and white about that.
And obviously, if we, the money that we have right now, is it sufficient to handle the things that you think are going to come in the next year or two?
Well, next thing that we were talking about, which was a backup for our water system that we wanted to do. We were thinking
Public Works well.
Public Works well and everything else. Putting that, bringing that up to usefulness, which would be about, that would be about $1.5 million.
I got to correct that. We're anywhere from 750,000 to right
Well,
We're, and that's
It's a
what,
substantial increase.
Yeah.
right. That's what we're looking at. So that's why when I was looking at this, I said, let's get this where we can cover that. Then we can look at it and say, okay, hey, we can go on a downswing and then see where we need to go and maintain, where we need to maintain it. But right now, I would feel comfortable with 1.5 in there, and that would be allotted for all the projects we got.
Given what we have right now, with the increase that you're proposing, is that going to be sufficient to deal with all the things that we
In the
are on
next,
slate?
I figured within the next 2 years, we would be up to where we belong.
This increase would be
It's
minimal.
minimal.
You know, it's another $37,000. And not, I mean, I can't scoff at $37,000, but in the picture of that 1.1 million, and this won't be the only addition to that fund, because every month from our water collections, money goes there. Yeah. Because when we started this, you and I, way back when, and Wally,
What am I, time limit?
remember, we had nothing set aside.
Right,
And that was what, maybe 4 years ago? 4 or 5 years ago?
About six.
Yeah.
Time flies.
When you have
Yeah.
Well, actually, we were given a reduced rate. If you use more water, we were giving the residents a reduced rate.
Producing additional.
Yeah, anything additional went from like say $4, anything additional went to about $3. And,
Okay.
so.
All right. Questions answered for now, sir?
For now.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Okay, go. Thank you.
I have been concerned in the past because it sounded like we were using any additional money to the water fund or the excess money over and above what we said we needed as our, no, the useful life. In other words, you have to plan on replacing things, and so you figure out what the useful life and how much that's going to cost. And I got the feeling that we were using the excess money to fund other projects that didn't have anything to do with the water system. And that made me very uncomfortable because I didn't think it was right that we should increase the water rate to use it somewhere else. I didn't think it was, I mean, it's not illegal, but it just.
Well, and it's also kind of half true. So when we move money from water to the general fund to pay a bill or to fund another project, it's also it's like a, help me.
I'm not quite sure how I can.
It's not a, we're not moving money from water to plant trees in Prairie Lake. That has nothing to do with.
Well, what we are doing though is money that is in the water fund. We've used that to balance our budget in probably the last 2 years. Requests that have come in, budget requests that have come in have been deemed necessary or desired, and we had to come up with the money somewhere. Now, you're right, Georgianne, we could just leave all this money in the water fund and only use it for, like, when we have a that, water-related projects. But then, in order to do the other projects, we'd have to come up with another source of money, whether it's delaying them some, or whether it's raising our levy requests to have more money to do other projects.
I know that we have excess money now in the account to do other things, and we have been using that regularly.
Which account?
Out of the water fund,
Okay.
using it for other projects, whatever they may be. Which I can't argue because we've been doing that. I just don't think we should add any more money, raise the rates with the idea that it's going to be used for other projects.
That's not the idea.
Well, it's gonna go into the water fund, and parts of the water fund are used for other projects.
But that's not the idea for the increase.
What else, what's the idea?
What is the idea of that?
What's the idea of the increase then?
The idea of the increase was the future expenditures we're gonna have and paying for bringing up our next well, which would be $1.5 million. The high side to bring it up to where it'll be useful.
So then we really shouldn't be using any of the money that's in the water fund now for anything else, because we're gonna need that in the next, however, 6 months, a year, or whatever you're projecting for this, third well.
Now, John, you can answer this, but hasn't whatever we haven't used in our budget been actually been put back, and it's been given to the water fund in the past? Now, that's
Capital reserve.
capital reserve.
But we haven't had that excess in the past couple of years because we've brought in a number of projects we've taken on. I guess, Georgiana, you have a good argument for balance. And when we look at the budget, after the requests come in, water-wise, we have the potential of a new well. Don't have any final figures on that. But we're doing nothing more this year because there's nothing more budgeted this year beyond the initial test. We have the channelization, which is, I think, around $76,000 for next year. Let's see, what other water projects do we have? The big one. As I think I explained to the board last meeting before, latest project where we tried to find a water line in a man's front yard, and turned out our plans didn't show where it was. Robinson is working on developing a proposal now for locating all of our infrastructure lines. I'm meeting with Steve Zahner next week for the initial proposal. And from the hints he's given me so far, he's suggesting, excuse me, that it becomes a multi-year project because of the cost. They're also working on a proposal for a GIS system, which would be a computer-based system that we can put the locations, not only all those infrastructure lines, stop signs, street signs, sewer openings, drain lines, a lot of villages in the county do it, we just haven't gotten there. He's putting a proposal together for that. We'll have to make some decisions whether or not we go that way once we see the cost. The project that we've already approved to deal with the redundancy in the water tower, the additional transit, that'll come out of the water fund. So it is meeting a lot of those water fund needs, and I don't think it's anybody's plan to run that account down where it can't serve in the future. It is good to know we have money available. The alternative, an alternative to this would be, one, increase our levy, which we're not going to do this year, or two, start cashing out some of the CDs we have.
There was something that came to mind. Give the old brain just a
Understood.
I think I'm fine with using the money for water-related projects. Now, that $100,000, did we ever get, we got that from Sam?
Yes.
Now, isn't that to offset what we've spent for the channelization?
you know, it took forever to get that money, so we already paid the bill on channelization. And it wasn't restricted that way, that was just the initial request. So, since we paid that bill, that $100,000 went to additional road repairs this last summer. That's how we got this done this year. Now, we still have that $380,000 at the state, in the state budget. Whether or not we're gonna ever get it, I don't know.
Anyway, I just wanted to express my concern about using it for something that isn't related.
Jerry?
Sir.
One question.
Sure.
When was the water tower painted last? Was that 6 years ago or so? Because we had a discussion on this also.
No, I think it's just been 5, because we just ran out of warranty and had it inspected at the beginning of this summer, I believe.
And what did they say the projection was on that paint? Was 12 to 15, I think?
That's ringing a bell. I was thinking 10.
10 to 12.
We tried to get a 10-year warranty,
Okay.
and we couldn't get that. So, yeah,
And
that was $220,000.
Right, that's what I was just going to say. So that's another thing that.
Fortunately, they used the better paint.
Right.
It's in good condition. The repairs were done earlier this year. Maybe we'll get a few more years out of it.
But I'm just saying that in the next 5 to 6 years might come up again. It would be another big.
We will not have any problems coming up with projects to spend money on.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that they're related to why we're collecting the money.
Right.
Okay, understood. So, I would suspect that what were you thinking, John, for bringing this for a vote? Timeline.
When do
Did you guys pick
when's your meeting?
What?
This was your.
Well,
Well, did we, and nobody has a problem with the dollar charge for the paper bills? Anyone?
Other than
You
Laura.
I'm going to say.
okay, so in Mary's report, she suggested that we add, in order to encourage people to go to electronic billing, we added a $1 surcharge to every paper bill that we have to mail home.
I think you have to be careful because a lot of our seniors just don't use computers at all.
Yeah.
Well,
So
that was
it's
one-
not right.
I made that.
So it's not
I
right
made that
to make a
argument.
blanket statement that all the paper bills should be,
Way back when in Finance Committee, we talked about this, but at that time, $5 came up, and you had to have a senior waiver who was there. And then I think we even might have talked about a non-computer waiver, but we ended up canning that idea altogether. So if we want to proceed at some point recommending this, you might want to consider how you put it forth.
Right.
To whether or not it includes a senior citizen waiver.
Do we have any idea what percentage of people are on the computer versus paper
I
bill?
think Kelly told me we had less.
91 houses,
91 are in electronic bill, and the rest are
630 something.
635 are paper.
Yeah, I don't think $1 is going to convert a lot of people.
It's,
But
now you could raise it higher.
let's look at bringing this to the February meeting, which you guys decide how you want to present it.
So I will tell you that we are going into the budgeting process under the assumption, under the old dollar figure, without the increase.
Okay.
Just to make sure that we don't plan
Right.
for something that we're not gonna, that we may not pass, because it just seems silly.
All right, so
So
February
is fine.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion on this topic? And if you have any questions, if they come up, call John. All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Kathy, Madam Clerk.
I have nothing new to report.
Okay, very good. And my report is in the packet. I have nothing additional. So with that being said, we need a motion to approve the tax levy ordinance for the tax year 2019.
excuse me. I think.
If it's discussion on this, we gotta have the motion.
No, I want to talk about your mayor's report.
Okay.
I know we don't have much of an audience now, but we may have some on YouTube. I think it's
are attached to the minutes that are on the website. So
So it is available.
it is available if the public,
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, just as long as they know they have access to knowing what you're doing, or recommending, or discussing, or whatever. I just want everybody to.
And I'll tell you why, remind you why I went this way. Some of the items are mundane, and I didn't want to sit here as we've done in the past and just listen to item after item after item. If there's enough you feel that I should speak it, I can do that. But it is available to the public on the website.
So when we look at the report, if we think there are things that should be orally presented, we can make suggestions.
I tell you, when we get to my report, if there's something we want to discuss, or let's bring it up at that point.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
You're welcome. All right, motion for the tax levy ordinance for the tax year 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
discussion.
Discussion? No roll call.
Trustees George Duberstein,
Aye.
Kreese.
Aye.
Koval. Darrenowski.
Aye.
Georgianne Duberstein.
Aye.
And Schnauer.
Aye.
Motion carried. Ordinance number 19-11-289.
Need a motion to approve an ordinance adopting the annual tax levy for Cranberry Lake Special Service Area, number 1 for the village of Haynesville.
So moved.
Second.
And my addition to the discussion is this, where it's maintaining the same level as we had last year. Roll call.
Trustees George Duberstein,
Aye.
Kreese.
Aye.
Koval. Darrenowski.
Aye.
Georgianne Duberstein. And Schnauer.
Aye.
Motion carried. Ordinance number 19-11-290.
And for those of you wondering why Kathy reads that ordinance or resolution number, we've discussed it a number of times, and I always thought it was redundant, unnecessary, and she pointed out it's good to have it in the permanent record on tape for reference. So I bow to her wisdom. Need a motion to approve resolution authorizing the construction of a well and septic system for the property county number as 0 Illinois Route 120 and 0 Illinois Route 134, Haynesville, Illinois. This is for the truck facility.
So moved. Second.
Discussion?
The truck facility?
The truck, the property, you know where Groot is?
Yes.
2 lots over, gentleman is sought a permit to build a truck repair and storage lot.
Now I
Okay?
remember.
Okay.
Sorry.
So we have motion second. Roll call, please.
Trustees George Duberstein,
Aye.
Kreese.
Aye.
Koval. Darrenowski.
Aye.
Georgianne Duberstein.
Aye.
And Schnauer.
Aye.
Motion carried. R 19-11-142.
Based upon the zoning commission recommendation, I need a motion to approve the change to ordinance section 17.50.060.
So
Second.
Discussion?
Wait, who first did? And George. Sorry.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Trustees George Duberstein,
Aye.
Kreese.
Aye.
Koval. Darrenowski.
Aye.
Georgianne Duberstein.
Aye.
And Schnauer.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Need a motion to approve the renewal of the Village 2020 Illinois Municipal League Risk Management Association insurance for $29,700.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
It's just important to note that this is a reduction in our rate of $3,364.
I want to say thanks to Kelly, even though she's not here, for listening to me talking about negotiating, for calling this guy back and forth and getting this down at $3,000, which was, I think, his third offer. So she did a good job at that. Roll call, please.
Trustees George Duberstein.
Aye.
Kreese.
Aye.
Koval. Darrenowski.
Aye.
Georgianne Duberstein.
Aye.
And Schnauer.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned, 7:14. Thank you all. If you have any questions, we're glad to hang around and talk to you about what happened. If you don't, no problem.
He wants to take a picture.
All